Have you ever had someone ask you, are you a spiritual person? Maybe it was a quick yes or a resounding no, but then you stop to wonder, what does that even mean? I asked the question of our favorite 21st century answer giver, Google, what does a spiritual person look like? You should try this too. And I got a series of stock art images showing a combination of people sitting thoughtfully in the woods, looking peacefully into the distance, and people standing by a body of water, usually with no one else around, with their eyes closed. I'm guessing we all have images that come to mind when we think of spiritual people or spirituality, but what does that even mean? Well, today I'm excited to begin a 5-session series with you where we will wonder together, what does it mean to be spiritual? When I was in college, one of my roommates traveled abroad. She spent a semester in Crete, which is the largest island in the country of Greece. She took this full slate of college classes, and she was really immersed into this unique culture, which was totally different from the place she grew up in. And when she got back, she gave me a gift that was inspired by her experience. In fact, I still have it. It's this wooden Greek icon. It's an image of Saint Catherine, which she bought for me because my full name is Catherine. And I learned that icons like this, they're common in Eastern Orthodox churches in particular. They were often paintings on wood of Mary or Jesus or of other holy people like this one. And they were meant to help your religious devotion. The person on this painting, this religious icon, represented something holy or had traits that might inspire you to be like them. And although I truly loved this gift, she bought it for me and I was certainly captivated by its beauty. I kept it for all these years. I remember thinking then, like I do today, this painting does not have the same spiritual meaning for me as it did for its original audience. I find myself asking, how could staring at a painted image of a calm, angelic-looking figure influence my faith? And I bring this up not to question the validity of art like this. It's beautiful, and it's important for us to remember the history of where we came from, of where our faith comes from. However, I worry that even today, centuries after religious art was created, I worry that when we wonder what does it mean to be spiritual, we only picture still life icons. We think that spirituality is nothing if it's not neat or clean. We think that spirituality is reserved for people who are definitely different than me, people who never think unkind thoughts, who always do the right thing at the exact right time. We put spirituality on a pedestal, but we don't know how to touch it. It becomes like a religious icon, which we admire, but we could never embody. Well, today, as we begin wondering what does it mean to be spiritual, I invite you to look with me to start by looking at the story of an important man in the Bible. Some might say he's a spiritual icon. In Genesis chapter 6, we read these words about Noah. We read, "This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was corrupt in God's sight, and it was full of violence." So many of you probably know the story, the full story of Noah. It's a classic in our stories of faith. We hear from this beginning part in Genesis that he was blameless, he was faithful, and the world was filled with corruption. We know that Noah builds an ark, he gathers the animals, he waits out the storm for 40 days and 40 nights. It's an epic tale. And Noah does everything that God commands of him. At the end, God sends a rainbow as a sign that God will never flood the earth again. Noah is iconic, right? But then there's the part of the story we don't always tell. In chapter 9, Noah drinks too much wine, and not only does he get drunk, but the Bible tells us he gets naked. This spiritual icon, in just a moment, is a total embarrassment to his sons. It's like the script has flipped on this person who we typically hold on a pedestal. So why tell this not so inspiring story? Well, I hope it helps us remember that spirituality does not equal perfection. A spiritual life might have moments of peace and rainbows, but a human spiritual life also has plenty of low times. Spirituality can be messy. The author Mike Yaconelli puts it this way: messy spirituality is a celebration of discipleship which is under construction. It's the place where our own lives and Jesus meet. A few years ago, our basement was under construction. We had a pipe leak, so we were forced to move the furniture aside from part of our basement to rip out the carpet and much of the sheetrock, and we started over. We took something that had been damaged, something that as it was made would have mold and mildew take over, and we turned it into something else. It's definitely not what we expected, because the things that are under construction never go as planned, right? It left some scratches on other walls, dents in the new floor, because construction is messy. So what would it look like for us to embrace this idea that our spiritual lives might be better depicted by a layer of construction dust than by a perfectly designed wood-painted icon? As we're diving in, I have a few questions for you to consider. First, would you describe yourself as spiritual, religious, or somewhere in between, and why? Where do your ideas of spirituality come from? And what are the dangers in thinking that spirituality equates perfection? And finally, what do you think about the idea of messy spirituality? Hey, thank you for starting this conversation with me today. I cannot wait to see you next time.